But there are those who say, but it is my money, so what is your issue? Let me do it the way I want to deal with him. Such you let go. But when it gets tough, said, but you said it was your money. So deal with it the way you thought you're going to deal with it. Don't bother me. Okay? Look, what I'm trying to say here is sometimes we make impulsive decisions just because somebody has contracted a loan, has done that, and we just go there. So point number one is if you are able to avoid debt 100%. The point number two, which we look at, is you need to embrace diligent saving culture. A diligent saving culture. You know, saving is something that has to be embedded in your lifestyle. Yesterday, I was with the ambassadors. We talked a lot about saving because they seem to be thinking they are young and they cannot save. Saving has no age. It can start at any particular time. By definition, saving is basically to put, even my son knows that definition. He has a piggy bank which, when it gets full, I ask him, so what do you want to do with this money? And he said, Daddy, you never know what happens. So even him at that young stage, he knows that you need to save for the rainy day. Okay? So saving culture has to be embraced. The question is, how do you save? Most of us, let's be honest with yourself, you determine that I want to save. You start accumulating your money, right? 2-3 months down the line, what happens? It's just take one phone call and you go and wipe it out. You know why? It's because we do not define the strategy for saving. We do not have an end game in sight. Okay? So the best thing is, if you want to save, it has to be in an account or in safekeeping that are not easily accessible by yourself. If it's an account, it has to be an account where there's no mobile banking attached to it, and you do not even probably have an ATM card for that particular account. Because the temptation is going to be very strong. The concerns that are going to come, they will appear genuine, such that it will be very easy. So the more you need to ring-fence your saving. Once you ring-fence your saving, it becomes much easier. Then you need to have an end strategy. We talked about it, I think, at China some years back. You need to have an end strategy. If you say, my goal is at the end of the year to raise 20,000, you need to work backwards to realize that, no, you know what, if I need to make 100,000 at the end of the year, how much do I need to put aside every month at the barest minimum? So it becomes part of your expenditure. Saving out of excess money doesn't help anyone. Because the truth of the matter is, we always have an excess of expenditure over income. Truth be told, most of our salaries are hand to mouth. Okay? So if you want to develop that saving culture, it should be embedded as your expenditure. The way we have tithe as the first to be knocked out of our income, personally, I believe saving should be the next one. Such that now the struggling to balance the account should be out of what has come out, what has remained after tithe is out and saving is out. Then now you balance with what remains. It's not easy. It's very painful. But you need to take Panadol for you to treat the headache. So if you don't take Panadol, the headache will not go. So you need to be very deliberate. So that point was saying, embrace diligent saving culture. It's there. Proverbs chapter 6, verse 6. There's a story about the ants, right? How they say the ants are not strong like human beings. But what do? They are able to gather up food for the time when what? There's no food. Ask yourself this thing. You at your home, you are in a paved yard. Once in a while, you see the ants have made some sort of like ant hills through small openings there. So most of the time we say, but these things, that's why they're not humans. They can't think. Because I'll come and sweep. This ant hill will go again, right? You sweep it today. When you come tomorrow, what will happen? You'll find another one. Okay? You know what the ants are doing? They're not, for lack of a better term, they're not dumb. What they're doing is, when they're bringing out that sand, that mound of sand out from under your pavers, they are creating space down there. So when it comes out, it brings the sand out, then it picks a morsel of bread and takes it down. So what happens is, the more sand you see up there, just know there's more food that has gone down there. Such that at the time when they are not able to come out, they will now be eating there down. No wonder, don't you wonder sometimes where when you open up or you lift a stone, you realize that there are so millions and millions of ants there. You ask yourself, what are they eating? This is the saving we're talking about. They are diligent because they know that there is a rainy day that is coming. Okay? The point number 3 is select an appropriate investment venture. Remember, we're looking at how to preempt the what? The debt trap. Okay? Select an appropriate investment venture. I chose my words very carefully on this particular one. Select an appropriate. Underlining word there is appropriate. The reason why we're emphasizing on appropriate is there is no one size fits all when it comes to investment. It's not in clothes where it exists. That you buy, this is a free size. I've heard that thing, I didn't know. There's a free size. Just buy this size. All of you will fit in that size. It's a free size. When it comes to investment, there's nothing like that. Something that you need to do should fit within your means. What are we talking about here? 1, you should learn your risk culture. Okay? Risk culture, what is your propensity to having risk? Okay? There are people who are high risk and the people who are what? Low risk. Those who are low risk, we call them aversive people. Now, if you are an aversive type of a person, your objective most of the time is that all you want is to protect your money, whilst at the same time you're getting a small growth. So for you, your aim for investment is capital preservation. Okay? You are risk averse. You cannot go for very high risky investment because you are fearing, I might be bent here. But the opposite side of the spectrum is for somebody who is a high risk taker, an aggressive risk taker. These are the people who go into those parties, but they will go into those investments in details. Okay? I'm just trying to tell you the profile so that you know where you place yourself. If you're a high risk taker, then you can take chances on investments that are deemed to be very risky and yet they pay high. You know what they say? The higher the risk is what? The higher the return. Okay? So you need to assess where do you belong yourself. Okay? Once you assess that, then you will know which business to do. The mistake I see mostly among ourselves, we just go with the wind. If I see that this one is doing this business, I will quickly go and borrow and do that business. But you see, you may not have the technical skills to be able to manage that business. So more often you find that your money will go under the drain. So that's why you say you need to know your risk profile so that you choose an appropriate investment. Still under selecting appropriate investment, you need also to ask yourself this question. This business that I want to do, or this side hustle I want to do, do I have the time to do it? And this question you ask yourself when you are in formal employment, right? So because there will be demand from your employers for you to work there. But if you're going to do a business that also requires your time to be there, there's a conflict of interest there if you don't see it. And if you're not very careful, what would happen is you probably lose your employment, and then when you go into your business, you realize that you don't have the skills for it. So you have lost on 2 fronts. So the thing is, you need to know whether you're going to be a passive investor, you're going to invest in a passive investment, or you're going to invest in what? An active investment. So a passive investment is where the money works for you, where you are seated and doing other stuff. An active investor is that you are working with your money. You have to be there. If you're not there, your workers will will probably shortchange you. Haven't you heard of somebody says, I've pumped so much money in this business, but it looks like the guys that are running it are more rich than myself. You're not there, you're an absent landlord. So the guys that are making money for themselves at your expense. You're actually providing capital for other people to be rich. Okay? So you need to be very clear whether you're going to be active or you're going to be passive. Still under choosing an appropriate investment, you also need to consider your financial position. It's not every investment that is for you. Brother Wamrangi, not every investment is for you. If I am trading in equities, or I should have made a disclaimer. When I say you, I'm including myself. Okay? So don't think you say you, I'm talking to you, Sister Chero. I'm including myself in the you. Somebody say if I point at you, 3 fingers are pointing at myself. So don't get offended, Brother Wamrange. If you want to invest in something, what is the strength of your balance sheet? Okay? You should be brave enough to walk away from an investment that will require capital that is not possible for you to obtain. That's the self-discipline that you need to bring. Most people don't have that self-discipline because at the end of the day, you said, if my neighbor can do that thing, I'm going to do it also. But you don't know how they are doing it. And your financial capability may not be able to push it through. These are what I call asking yourself honest questions and giving yourself honest answers. Because most of the time we deceive ourselves. You need to tell yourself, no, you know what? This one I cannot do. I walk away from this investment. Okay? Now, having said these three of how to select an appropriate investment, it means the next step is you need to evaluate the risk against the return. Okay? In the financial world, they do a lot of computations how to know what is the deviation from what I want to achieve and what is from the actual output that has come out. Okay? Now, it may sound complicated to say risk and return. All what we are saying is what I'm making with what I'm putting in. That's what we are saying. And you should be able to take a quick decision. If you realize that along the way, you probably missed it. You know, sometimes when you go into a business venture, people tell you, just start this. You know, I'm making a lot of money. Sometimes they don't give you all the full information. But when both your feet are inside, that's when you realize, they didn't tell me, Prophet Ngoma. They didn't tell me that there's this thing. At that particular point, you see, you're thinking, should I come out, should I not? But then you want to maintain your status that you are, I also can you do it. You actually increase your stake and you go down and down the drain. So, you need to select an appropriate venture for you, okay? Now, how you select that appropriate venture, we will pick it when we look at the investments that are available for you. Remember, don't lose sight of what our main theme in this one is. The main theme is how to avoid being in debt. We have not going how to come out of debt yet. Okay, that's the main theme where we are. The point number 4 there is you need to create a well-diversified investment portfolio. Diversity is the most critical thing when it comes to investments. You know, most of us, when we look at our revenue streams month in, month out, would probably say almost over 70% is probably coming from our salary. Is that percentage fair? Is it over or understated? Understated. You find most people, it will be over 70% is coming from your salary. That is a very difficult situation that you can easily go into debt trap. The spectra of your investment has to be in such a way that you will be what comes as your mainstream revenue, let's say from my employment, if possible, let it not exceed 40% of the spectrum. If you have 60% of investment, I'm giving what my opinion is, right? They say everyone has an opinion. So I'm giving an opinion from best practice that I've seen. If what is coming from a mainstream revenue is accounting for not more than 40% of the total basket, it means you are well invested. So you will have other portfolios which we are going to talk about, other investment streams that should bring you revenue. Okay? Now, what are some of these investment streams that you might want that might be able to give you revenue? Now, I'll quickly go through just 7 of them. Just 7 of them. And as I said, you pick what is suitable to you. Everything might not be suitable to you, but you pick what is suitable to you. Before I say that, I don't know, I'm debating within my mind whether I should say this, I should not say this. Maybe I should say it. Okay. You know, when I was with the youths yesterday, we spent quite a lot of time talking about wealth creation. There's one thing that came out very critical, the issue of betting, the issue of, okay, let me hold it for another slide. On the issue of what is an investment, what sort of investment can you put money in? Let me answer it. Let me deal with it right now. Since you're on it, let me deal with it. So usually, how you determine whether the investment is safe and is something you should put on is away from speculation and gambling. How you determine that is, the most traditional investment will be backed by a legal framework. Okay? There will be a regulator for that particular investment. So like, let's talk about financial investment. Here in Zambia, we have basically 3 regulators, right? We have the central bank, which is the Bank of Zambia. That regulates investments, what the banks and other financial players, microfilms, fintech, and others in the market, how they operate. There is a legal framework where each product that is being offered is tested, and the full process of due diligence, they go through it. Why do they do that? To ensure that the clients or the off-takers of these facilities are not shortchanged by the financial institutions. Then we'll have also on the other side, we have the Securities and Exchange Commission, the so-called the SEC. The SEC are there to ensure that there is regulation around the stock market. If I'm to buy equity, I want to buy shares in a company, they need to ensure that there is order in that particular space. And I think the third one should be the PIA, the Pensions and Insurance Authority. They have to make sure that what the pension houses are doing is that which is acceptable. Now, the investments that will come under this particular umbrella are investments that are backed by science, are well thought out, there are strategies on how to mitigate the risk and everything. These are sound investments, okay? These are investments that people can go through. On the flip side of the coins, there are certain investments that are speculative and betting in nature. These investments, they will fall under a spectrum where they call them wager contracts. Wager, W-A-G-E-R, wager contracts. You can Google it out if your internet is working. A wager contract is basically where you enter with you want to deal between 2 counterparties. But that transaction is dependent, fully dependent on an expected outcome of an event. The event that you don't know whether it will happen or it will not happen. This puts into scope issues to do with gambling. There's no one who will tell you when you gamble, this is what the outcome it is. It's gambling. Okay? It also puts into space things like betting. And with the youths, I don't know whether the parents have this confusion also, but our children have that confusion. We dealt with it yesterday. Now, it looks like there's so much focus into quick money among our youths. So all they are doing is you give them, they'll say, give me money for lunch or for breakfast, whatever it is. All they do is just to go and start betting. And as we all know, gambling is addictive. It's like cigarettes. Once you smoke one, you want another one. And once you lose, it pains you. You want to get more money to gain more. And then when you make money, you become greedy that you want to increase your stake. So it's a double-edged sword. When you lose, you want to put more. When you win, you want to put more. But at the end of the day, I'll tell you this for free. In casino business or in this other gambling business, there's only one winner. I always say this. Do you know who the winner is? The house wins. The house wins. The majority loses. And I find it very difficult for our youths to put their focus in a speculative type of business. We dealt with it. You cannot go into an investment that is speculative in nature. Okay? Also, it has to pass the litmus test of a morality and spirituality. You have to look into the Bible. Even the inferences that we see in the Bible about investment, like that man who was going away and he gave his people the talents. You know the story of the talents, right? The one who was the most unfaithful at the end, you know what he told him? He said, if you really thought that I'm that cruel, at least you should have given the money to what? Give it to the bankers. At least I would have earned some interest. If you look the whole entire Bible, it's very difficult for you to find where things like gambling and speculation investment are encouraged. They justify themselves that, no, there's casting lots there. There's casting lots. No, they cast lots. They have to understand the full implication of what it means by casting lots and what was the immediate context of that particular scripture. So I digressed. This part I was not supposed to talk about it, but I just thought to bring it so that you understand what investment you can go through and the one you should not go through. Anything that's speculative in nature, gambling in nature, one would claim, yeah, but I've seen somebody has won 25,000 when they have just put in 7 kwacha. How many have won 25,000? And how many have put in 7 kwacha? So if 10 million people have put in 7 kwacha, and one person has won 25,000, is that a viable business environment? I always say this. If you cannot put science behind a business proposal, it should not pass. So if young people come to me and say, Mayoda, this is what I want to do. So I'll tell them, okay, do a proposal. If they say, no, but I can't do a proposal. Okay, now I'll do a proposal for you. So tell me what you want to do. I want to do this. Okay, so this is what you want to do. This is the capital you put in. Okay, so how will be the returns? Okay, I'll expect this. Then you explain, okay, now does this make sense to you? That you're putting this and you're getting this out of it. Others are perfect. You say, no, actually, this makes a lot of sense. I've never thought about it. What you're saying makes a lot of sense. Look, I think this is a viable thing. And capital can be employed. The point I'm trying to make is this, beloved, is that any investment that is not backed by science, it is based on gut feel. You know gut feel, why? I feel I can win. I feel I can win. It's speculative in nature. Everything should be backed by science. I should be able to go to my boss and say, my boss, this is what I need to do, because if I put resources in this will be the return. If things go wrong for me, this is where I think I can potentially lose, but this is the mitigation I've put in place, that if things does not go according to plan, this is where I exit my losses. It's well documented and everyone understands. But if you're going to say, I'm going to do X bet, there's another one they said yesterday, mining something. They have a lot, by the way, our youths. They have a lot. Me, I used to think it's just this bola bet. They actually have a lot of them. I think it's our jobs as parents, if we don't have that confusion in ourselves, to ensure that we start teaching these children financial literacy. I realized yesterday that there's a lot of financial literacy that we need to teach our children. I have digressed. Now let me come back to the investment options that we're talking about. And these are the safe ones. And by the way, another disclaimer. The fact that an investment is well regulated and well documented by the regulators does not mean you can easily jump into it. It does not mean also it is spiritually sound also. You get that, right? It does not mean it's spiritually sound. No one will stop you from running a bar. But what are your spiritual antennas telling you about that? I give this example most of the time. One of the most lucrative business is piggery. Okay? But what is your conscience if you go into that? Speaking as an Adventist. Okay? So the fact that it has passed the test of legality and everything does not mean it is good for all Adventists. So there we have to be very careful so that we differentiate that. What are some of the things we can do? The easiest one are short-term money market instruments. Now, a money market instrument, by definition, is any investment that matures within a period of 1 year. The truth be told, that the return that comes from money market instruments are usually very low. So those will be for people that are mostly risk-aversive, and they want to preserve their capital whilst earning a little bit of some money. Under this particular money market, you find things like fixed deposits that the banks would give you, okay? These are most of the time accessible to almost everyone because in terms of the amounts or the capital that you deploy towards that, it's usually very affordable. It's tailored to your pocket, okay? Now, people shun those and go and do bola bet with their loan. And because they think bola bet, they'll make more money. And when they have lost everything in bola bet, that's when they'll come back to me, you know what? I'm unable to service this loan that I got. We report you to CRB. CRB puts you on the database because you are a delinquent from our book. And once we put you on CRB, it doesn't matter which financial institution you go to, your name will pop up. Okay? And even when you now finally clear your obligations there, we'll give you a period within which we need to assess you to make sure that you are credit worthy again. So that's why I'm saying if you go into an investment, you really have to be well thought out, okay? So money market instruments are available to everyone. Fixed deposit is one of them. The other one is treasury bills, okay? So treasury bills are currently, essentially you are lending to the government. So the government comes to buy money from you via bi-weeklies, every 2 weeks. They advertise in the paper that if you want to invest, you lend money to the government, we give you treasury bills. They are 3 months investment. You can invest for 6 months, you can invest for 9 months, and you can invest for 1 year. They're basically just four streams. I can give you, the rates are not as bad as people think they are. But what you should know for treasury bills is that for treasury bills, maybe I should come to that when I'll speak more of that when I come to bonds. Let me reserve the most of the discussion of treasury bills until I come to bonds. Because for treasury bills, it's really short-term in nature. So this is a situation where, look, you know you will have a big financial obligation later, maybe in 6 months or 3 months, but in the short term, you do not have really need for that particular money. Now, if you go to get a fixed deposit from the bank, chances are that the rate will be slightly lower than the treasury bills rate, because the banks also would invest with the central bank. So when they invest with the central bank, they will, and then they come to get money from you, they can't use the same rate. Otherwise, then what are they doing? They need to make some profit as well, right? So you find that the fixed deposit will be slightly lower, but they'll have more flexibility. So you find that most banks will allow you to, they will tell you when you want to be getting your interest. They'll tell you, you want to be getting monthly, quarterly, annually. But the thing is, the contract is fixed. If you need to cut the contract before its maturity, then you may have to suffer a bit of some charges and what. Now, you need to be very clear. Any investment, by the way, whatever we talk about it, you need to be clear right from the beginning about the implication of terminating that particular contract. In terms of charges, usually the terms and contracts are written in a very small font. I don't know what the font size is that, and they're usually at the back of whatever you write. I'm not talking about banks here, I'm talking generally. Actually, the banks were even better. Because us, we give you what we call a BFL, a BFC, a business facility letter. That one, at least us, it will stipulate everything. And it will be at most 2 pages, maybe 3 pages, okay, since 3 pages. But the ones from, have you seen the ones from the laundry? Have you seen the T's and C's from the laundry? You have seen them? One, the receipt is small like this. Turn behind, you see a lot of them. When you go that, but my suit did not come like this, I flip that page. So we need to be very clear in terms of what the T's and C's are before you go into every investment. Because you will be shocked that you find that the liquidation cost, it will wipe out almost everything that you have done. So be very careful. So I was still on the first one, which is the money market investment. I talked about fixed deposit. I talked about treasury bills. Now, when we talk about fixed deposits, I'm not just talking about banks alone. There are a lot of credible financial institutions that are outside there that offer fixed deposits. How do I know that this is a safe institution to give your money? Is a subject that we'll deal with in the subsequent slide, okay? Now let me move a little bit quicker here. Then the next spectrum, and this one I've been asked to talk about it by so many people, is the issue of long-term investments. We're on the options. The first one, money market, was short-term. Now I'm looking at long-term. Long-term investments, this is what keeps you, let's put it this way. You know, all of us, we know that even the jobs that we do will not be there forever. There will always be a time when we will leave. The biggest headache for every parent, for all of you parents, is the cash flow, how you sustain yourself in the event that you lose your job or you are out. Government bonds is an avenue that are what I call low-hanging fruits. Okay, you know nowadays the fruits they make nowadays, as small as it is, like it bears, you can get some mangoes. This is the government bonds. By simple definition, this is basically the government borrowing from you. Okay? They borrow from you so that they can finance your projects and then pay you interest out of it. How they operate is very simple and straightforward. Okay? The main features of the government bonds are such that when you have invested in government bonds, the confirmation that you have sitting in your hands is as good as cash. So if you find yourself in a situation that you are stressed, you can actually go into the market and sell that paper in what we call the secondary market. I will not talk about the secondary market. I want to confine myself to what is basic to you, and that will be the primary market. But that flexibility, it offers you. 2, in a government bond, it is a passive investment. You put your money, you run away, the money is working for you. Passive in such a way that it's deemed as risk-free, okay? A sovereign paper is risk-free. Risk-free because we know that the government will not default on domestic paper. I know somebody's going to challenge me, said, but they defaulted on foreign payments, the loans, that's why we are in this debt restructuring. Yes, that's a unique situation. And it was the first time and it was the first one. But generally speaking, if something goes wrong in the government space, what makes you think your business will be safe? Which one is the lesser evil here? If something goes wrong at government level, it has a trickle-through effect, right? So it doesn't matter which investment spectra you have put your money. It will also get affected in one or the other. So the government bond remains the most risk-free investment. How lucrative is a government bonds? We can look at numbers very quickly. So government bonds, you can either go into a 3 years, you can either go into a 2 years, or you can go into a 3 years, you can go into a 5 years, you can go into a 7 years, you can go into a 10 years, and my favorite, you can go into the 15 years. The longer the investment you put there, the more yield you get out of it. If you allow me, I would sample one. Let's sample the 10 years and the 15 years. Okay? Let's sample the 10 years and 15 years. If you want to put money, and we just pick a crude figure here, and you can calculate on your own. If you want to put money to buy a 10-year government bonds, right now we had an auction last week. The rate printed at 27.75%. That's the rate, 27.75%. So if Brother Wamulyange puts 1 million kwacha there, 1 million kwacha now, in a 10 years, in a 15 years, that's what I'm talking about. That money which Brother Wamulanga has put there, in 15 years, it will give a face value of 2 million. It doubles itself. I'm giving you calculations straight from my head. I deal with this every day, so trust my figures. So you put in 1 million for 15 years, it will give you 2 million. Now, the question is, but 2 million will only come after 15 years, right? I still need money in the interim. The government is aware of that. He said, no. Your money has doubled to 2 million. However, I'm going to be paying you every 6 months a coupon. What was the coupon rate? Ask me. It was 14%. 14%. 14% of what? Not of the 1 million that you have put in. 14% of the what? The 2 million that you have put in. You have your calculators with you. Calculate 14% of 2 million in a year. It will give you something like 280 what? 1,000 kwacha. 14% of 2 million is what? You people with calculators there. Quickly, on the calculator. 280,000 kwacha. Okay? Divide that by 12. This is what you are getting besides your 2 million that is waiting for you in 2 years. Divide that by 12. How much are you getting? Quickly. 280 divided by 12. 280 divided by 12 quickly, it's about 21,000? 23,000. So what we are saying is, you are earning an interest of 23,000 kwacha every month for an investment of how much? Of 1 million. In addition to this 23,000 that you are earning, it will become 2 million at maturity. Now let's do a bit of some numbers. Sister Abwalia, you are the faster one in calculation here. 280,000 every year. Multiply it by 15. How much is the total money you are getting in coupons alone? 4.2 million. I want to spend a bit of time here so that people can put things into perspective. On coupon alone, you are going to earn 4.2 million kwacha. What is your face value from what you have put there? Another one is 2 million. So we get that 2 million and the 4.2 million. What is the total cash consideration you're going to get? 6.8 million. So an amount of 1 million kwacha today has grown to 6.8. Free, you are sleeping in your house. This is a low-hanging fruit that you have, okay? Now, the question is here. The question is here. Somebody would say, let's look at an alternative investment to this one where you have put up your money. 1 million, you say, if I am to buy a house for 1 million, I'm to spend a total of 1 million to buy a house. That house is not going to be in a high-cost area in Lusaka. It will be in medium cost. It will be in Ichalala. medium cost, okay? How much are the rentals you get from Chalala? The highest, about 5,000. Calculate for me in 1 year, if you're getting 5,000 every month, how much are you going to make? 60,000. That's before maintenance costs. So let's say maintenance costs are 10,000. How much are you making? 50,000. Compare with what you're making with a similar amount with the government bond. We said every month you're making 20 what? 23,000. You have 23,000 here and you have 5,000 here. Which one would you go for? I'm not saying we should not, by the way, I've real estate as one of the investment options. I'm just trying to do a simple comparison for you. I used a bigger amount of 1 million, but the amount can be small. You can work, I use that one for easier to assimilate. Reduce that to 500. What it simply means, you're just cutting into half what we've been talking about, okay? It becomes very simple and straightforward. Sorry, you reduce to 50, it will still come. Now, I'm not going to take questions. I want to speak very quickly and finish everything, and then we start questions. I've been given 2 hours, and Power has taken 20 minutes away from that presentation. Actually, 30 minutes away from our presentation. So allow me to speak very quickly, jot down your questions, even those online, jot them, then we can come and deal with them appropriately at the end of the day. If I take questions now, I think I won't finish my slide, okay? Now, the other one, and this one the youth talked about a lot, is matters to do shares and equities. Okay? Now, come back to me, please. Please, come to me. Forget about the dot. So, the youths, apparently, they talked a lot about investing in shares and equities. Now, shares, by definition, is basically you buying stake in a company. Okay? Shares are well regulated by the Stock and Exchange Commission, the SEC. So, meaning it's not something that you just wake up and do. You need to go through a legal process via the Stock Brokers Association. You have to use the brokers to be able to give you financial advice. You don't just buy. But here's the thing. The good thing with shares is the capital outlay that you put there is usually very small. Because, if you're a shareholder in a company, it entitles you to basically 2 things, among many others. One, it entitles you to a dividend. So, meaning when that company makes money, they will declare a dividend and you are paid a dividend, right? And then it also entitles you to something else. If the company is doing well, what will happen to the share price? To be going up, right? The share price is going up. And as the share price goes up, you have a little to do. If I bought my shares at 25 ingwe per share, and the share price is now at 3/4 per share, surely I can cash in there, right? It gives you an opportunity. We're talking about the publicly listed companies here. But that's not the only company where you can put shares. There are also private companies. Brother Offa is running a business, and Brother Kove, sorry, Prophet Kove. Your name has been elevated. Prophet Kove is running a business, but he doesn't have his capital, which he have, is not sufficient. Then you partner with him. All you have done is you have just bought an equity stake in his business, and the only tricky thing is you have to ensure that you have proper legal documentation that protects your interest in that particular business. Because in the event that something happens, you don't want to be necessarily say, but you know what, you are also told you I will pay you after this. It has to be clear what I will be paid, when I will be paid, and what are my downside if something goes wrong. So it can happen both on the public limited company, and it can also happen on the what? On the private companies. That is buying shares. Your kids are very interested in that. They were even talking about, so can I do this online and everything? I said, let's have another session. But this is a good investment because it's a long-term in nature. Mostly when you buy shares, it's not for trading most of the time. Okay, it can be used for trading, right? We trade them. But usually it's for long-term. You want to leave shares for your children when you die. Remember the Bible says, a wise father leaves what? An inheritance for the children's children, not your children. Okay, we miss it. Most of say for your children. No, my planning should not be for the children. The success that I'm enjoying today, my father cannot claim the success that I have. It's my grandfather who should claim the success. Because it's children's children. It's a third generation. That's the way it is. So things like shares, these are the ones where our friends in the West are used very well. They live, their property works, let me put it this way, the investments work for a longer period than ourselves. Because us, we're looking at just my wife and my children. But then they look at their children's, even up to the 4th generation. The next part the investment option is the part of mutual funds. So mutual funds are normally for people that will be on the higher risk side. Remember when you said there are those who are risk averse and those who are high risk takers. If you're high risk takers, if you go in a mutual funds tend to pay very high interest. Why? Because usually it will be a pool of different funds put together. Okay, so there will be so many companies that have contributed to that particular pool. And because there are so many of them, chances if one company performs badly, another one will perform better, right? So most of the time, we find that most of the companies will perform better because a lot of them are performing better. The return on that pool of funds is usually what? Very high. So if you put money in the mutual fund, it becomes you earn more interest. The downside to it, though, is that you have to be very careful that the investment you're doing is principal protected. Because sometimes the ones that pays very high, it may not have what? The principal protection. Such that if something bad happens, you can actually be what? Wiped out. So you have to be very careful and analyze everything. But generally speaking, it's rare that people are wiped out unless there is an economical event. Things like a global crisis and all those things. COVID, those are the things that will trigger a crisis that will make people make losses. Generally speaking, every institution, they have appointed people they call the fund managers. They are assessed on how they are growing the fund. So it is also in their mandate to ensure that whatever return they're getting, it's beating inflation. Actually, let me even deal with this one. There's a question somebody asked me yesterday. I think it was one of our children there. I want to mention the name of the parent, but you have a very sharp son. He asked a question. He says, but what if what I'm getting is lower than inflation? That is a very good question. You need to have a benchmark, okay? If an investment that you're putting money is giving you a return that is lower than inflation, it simply means you're not actually making out anything. The cost of living is catching up with the interest that you're making. So at the very least, you should be making something that is giving you a return that is better than inflation. Sometimes inflation may not be your target. Maybe your target is just say, look, I really don't care. I just want it to grow a little bit. That's fine also. But generally speaking, there's a benchmark that is put is above inflation. The next one is the obvious one, real estate. Real estate has so many facets and faces, okay? When you talk about real estate, essentially you're talking about you can either go on a commercial side, or you can go what? On the retail side, or you can actually go from the equity side, approach real estate from the equity side. Because remember, even real estate is also floated on what? On the Lusaka Stock Exchange. So there are many angles. Now, strictly speaking, for us, I always say, if you're in real estate, of course, the first one, you need to secure your own home abode, right? You need to have something, a shelter of your own, so that you take out the landlord is out of question, okay? But in the event that you have done that one already, and you have opportunities to do more, there is no overdose in doing a lot of them. The catch is here is be careful where you select your your real estate. Place is very important, and activities around that place is also what? Very important. So if your aim is to play the real estate, most of the people that have ripped money out of the real estate I've seen, I'm talking about my friends, so your friends might be different, but I'm talking about my friends, are those that have invested in high density areas. Most of us, we don't want to say, no, this is a compound. I can't put my money in the compound. But guess what? The capital deploy that go in a low density area is very small. On a 600 square meters, in a low density areas, you can have 10, 15 units on it. In a medium and high density and low density areas, you just have 1 unit. In the low density areas, you have 15 units, of which, let's say, even if one is giving you just 1,000 kwacha, 15 of them on a 20 by 30 plot, that's how much? That's 15,000. Compared to having one in the medium where you're getting 5,000, we did the numbers already. 5, 15. And then what the demand of the tenancy that occupy the medium to high is very high. They'll ask for a swimming pool. They'll ask you to see, is it an inbuilt stove in there? Is there a microwave, Sister Cello? And all those things. And when you put in all those things, you realize that you recoup your capital, it take long. But if you go in the ghetto, on a 20 by 30, you put 15 units there, and one is giving 1,000. And there you don't even have this issue of saying this month there's no tenant, because when one is going out, another one is going in. So you have to be very strategic on where you want to put. Okay? And also there's this phenomenon, even with Dorcas, I'm speaking something which we talked already, right? So this is just revision for you. We talked about things like the boarding houses. One of the key anchor of the current government is education, if you have not noticed. It's education, education, education. Opening up new universities, allowing more people to go to school, free bursaries. That's the policy of the current government. But you ask yourself a question. If that is the key driver for the government, where are those students going to be sleeping? So you need to identify areas that are around universities and put boarding houses there. The capital employed, again, is very minimal. I had 3 weeks of consecutive sessions with our students at Levi Mwanawasa. We were talking about these matters of wealth creation. I was interviewing them. So how much do you pay in these boarding houses? They're saying we pay something within the range of 1,000 and 2,000, depending on the type of bed space you are getting. Okay? Now, and I also learned to say that in one room creates 4 bed spaces. So if you have 3 bedrooms, that's how many 12 bed spaces? That's 12, right? I've given you the answer. That's 12 bed spaces, okay? And if they're paying at the very minimum, which is 1,000, that's a 12,000 you're getting out of it. In the same house you rent it up in that particular area, you'll be getting what? 5,000. But it's triple. So if you are deliberate, you build, now I'm talking about houses that are being converted. These are not built tailored to students. But if you build something that is tailored to that particular market, you realize that what you're going to spend will be very minimal, and then you're probably going to create more bed space, okay? Then you make a lot of money, okay? So it's real estate, you can go into that. That's the low density and maybe the issue of boarding houses. But I'm not saying you all go into low density at what? There are values also at each particular level. If you're going to go to the medium is also good, because there are certain people who say, no, me, I cannot stay in this type of area. I need to go into a medium location. You need to have something. Also, you also have to play also to the upper mwambas. You need to have something, even for yourself, because at the end of the day, I always say your first house that you build is not your dream house most of the times. Those people make a mistake, you pump all the resources, build a big house for the first time. But you know what, your job on training, the chances are that you make a lot of mistakes, and you won't like it maybe after 2-3 years. So the first one, you have to be as economic as possible, as small and as economic as possible. The first one. Such that from the experience of the first one, you can now build on what? The next one. That's usually an approach that I would recommend. But we have seen it now. Somebody will put the whole size of this chapel and go put one house. One, you struggle to build it because you'll be getting loans and loans that they won't be finished, just getting top up on loans all the time to be able to finance what? Finance that house. At the end of the day, you realize that when it's finishing, your kids are in university and just you and your wife, honeymoon, back. And then there's no one to occupy all those bedrooms. And it's very difficult for you to rent it out. So you have to be very strategic in the way you approach real estate. There's a commercial side. The commercial side is very lucrative in Zambia at the moment. I've quite a number of friends that when they see an upcoming area, they'll basically go and buy the front road-facing plots and put a block of shops there. The capital employed, which you employ in shops, is very minimal most of the times. Because it's not like a residence, right? Where you have to put this and this. It's very minimal. It's like brick and mortar, the walls and what. It's well secured there. If you're able to put that, it's good. If you have more money, you can even go and do a shopping mall. Okay? There, money comes. Real estate, people say, it's the oldest type of investment, and it's long-term in nature. The returns may be steady, but they'll be there for a long time. Okay? That you need now to, as I said, it's not everything which is for everyone. You need to weigh the pros and the cons. Which one suits your pocket? Somebody asked me a question, maybe it has just come to me on bonds. What if I don't have money to buy bonds? If you have access to a facility, you can create an arbitrage for bonds. You borrow 500 from a bank, and then usually it's about 5 years, right? And then you lend it to the government for 15 years. So what will happen? The first 5 years, you're probably not benefiting because the money you're paying the bank and the money you're getting from the bond is probably matching out. Again, I have the numbers. If you want on a personal basis, you can look at it. Usually, it will be matching out. So you don't feel any extra pressure that is coming to your pocket, because what you are paying in your standing orders and what you are getting from the return, they're just canceling out each other. So all you are doing is, for the first 5 years, you're just sitting in neutral there. When the 5 years finish, now that's where your real money comes in, because the bank is out of the picture. Now you have 10 more years to go of getting free money. So that's where you have to be very strategic there. So no one can say, no, me, I cannot. If you have access. Now, this is an example where debt is good. Okay? It's an example where debt is good, because there it's not bringing any stress on you. You are insulated in terms of the cash flows. They are matching. There may be a small mismatch which is positive to you or negative to you, but usually it is very small. Okay? So that one. Let me leave this, the real estate. Another way of investment option, but this one you need to be trained, is issues to do with commodities, buying commodities. When we talk about commodities, we're talking about trading in things like copper, trading in things like foreign exchange. Okay? Now, this trading now, I have to be understood here, because the youths also raised that question yesterday. They said, but we have platforms. I can just go there and strategy. So the question I asked them, I said, but are you trained to be able to use that platform? The guy who created that platform on the back end is a well-trained person, okay? And he's not presenting the platform free for you, okay? So you need to have, if you are trained in trading, you do it. But if you're just speculating, think, okay, I think it will go like this, let me put it, I think it will go like this. That's speculation. Remember, anything that is not backed by science, according to me, to my understanding, it's a no-go area, because you're gambling. It's the same as gambling, right? So, but in an environment where you are trained and you are able to trade, that's an option that is there. Then the other one, the last one which I want to talk about, the investment option here is, one of the triggers for stress for most people, especially when they're out of employment, are things to do with maybe your medical insurance, covering your medical expenses. Okay? When you are working, it's very easy, because most of us would have your institution, maybe when you're sick, they'll pay for you, right? But when you're out there, the reality dawns. You realize that you have to cough everything out of what? Out of your own pocket. So there, you need to ensure that whilst you are still in informal employment, have some form of insurance. We have a lot of pension and insurance houses in Zambia that can give you product that will be able to protect you even against funeral. The funeral one, Zambians, we don't take that one. We think if I take a funeral policy, I'm bringing death upon myself. So that one doesn't sell very much. I remember somebody, just on a light note, somebody came to our department saying, no, I'm selling a death policy. You can put your parents and you can put your siblings there. And somebody said, I buy a death policy, I put my father and mother there. And my sibling, if anyone dies, they say it's because of what? This one that bought the policy. That's why the people are dying. So you find that we don't warm up to that. But the truth of the matter is those are very important. They come in very handy. Only when you go through that situation, that's when you realize, and medical. So my point I'm trying to make here is to avoid the debt trap, because if you don't have a policy, what will happen when somebody's sick? You go and borrow from somebody, right? And people, if you borrow from an individual, they'll even charge you what we call here in Zambia, our friends from Zimbabwe, kaloba. I don't know whether you've heard of thing kaloba, where they charge you extra normal interest. It's usury, right? What do you pronounce it, Sister Chile, a teacher? Azari? It's azari? It's there in the Bible. The Bible discourages. Read Leviticus 22:25. It's there in Proverbs also. You are not supposed to charge at what? Azari. You're not supposed to charge azari. Because azari, by definition, is you charging astronomical interest rates. Usually when you borrow from the bank, the interest rates are compounded. It's annually. But some of these, they will just give you a straight percentage of your capital. And you find that actually it compounds such that you are strangled at the end. If at the time I would have given testimonies of people who we have tried to help out of usury. Usury. Okay, I won't use that term again. Yeah, so these are some of the available investments. Now, these points I was telling them under the point of saying, create a well-diversified investment portfolio. So if you look at all these, if you have something sitting in property, you have something that is sitting in fixed deposit, you have something that is sitting in government bonds, you have something that is sitting in equities, you have something that is sitting in pensions, you have something in mutual funds. What you have created is what? Is a portfolio. Okay? This is what we are talking about when we talk about diversity. We just want you to make sure that it's virtually impossible that everything will go bad at the same time. So if you lose out on one, you gain on the other. So it gives you a little bit of some flexibility for you to be able to manage yourself. Now, I'm back now to where I started from. That was the point number 4 of creating diversified. The next point under there is point number 5, out of the 11. Number 5, he says, resist quick money back schemes. We're talking about avoiding debt. Resist what? Quick money schemes. We have already talked about issues to do with betting and what. We cannot go back to them. We have talked about gambling. Now, let me talk about Ponzi schemes. I don't know. Do you know Ponzi schemes? Huh? Yeah, these are the people that promise you high interest, but they're not backed by a real balance sheet behind them. So you get money, they promise you high interest. For the few first deposits, they'll give you money. But you see, it's a fraud. The whole entire thing is a fraud. We have seen a lot of them here, in Zambia. Are we together? Are we communicating, or maybe we are well, right? Yeah. So there are quite a lot of them in Zambia. How do you know that this is a Ponzi scheme? One, their interest that they'll be offering you will be way, way higher than the traditional interest that the financial institutions are giving you. There was a time when financial institutions were giving an interest for a year about 15%, and there was a financial institution, not financial, I don't like using financial institution for these Ponzi. There were an alleged financial institution that was giving 50%. I remember telling people, I said, you guys, and some of them were my friends, I think the gap, the variation is too big. I don't trust this fund. And guess what? People put their pension in there. And it went under. Okay? If my memory serves me right, others, the maximum they got out of that is 25,000 kwacha. And they are still waiting to get their money. The point is here, is this. Anything that appears to be too good to be true is what, Sister Chelo? If it appears to be too good to be true, it is what? It's a lie. It's not true. It's not true. It quacks like a duck. It whines like a duck. What is it? It's a duck. So just run away from it. And even now, if you go along, what road is this one? From the Flyover Bridge, footbridge at Mandayu, Addis Ababa. Pay attention to the billboards that are along that pavement. There are people who are saying they will offer you what? 50%. Their billboards are all over, end to end. You drive through there every time. Ask yourself, is that thing real? We have people that have invested in an agricultural scheme that was saying they will be given what? Double or triple their money? We're not mentioning any names. We're just saying there are people who are investing in an agriculture firm. Now ask yourself a question. Elder Muni is here. Where is Elder Muni? Elder J. Elder J is a seasoned farmer. He can compute with you what sort of return on equity you can get from agriculture. Can you get 300% in a year, my elder? It's close to impossible. Now you ask yourself, somebody is saying he is going to give me 300%. Where is he investing his money? Because when the banks get your deposits, they're investing in other avenues. And when they realize, okay, we're investing in government bonds, we're getting this, or investing here, then they remove a percentage and lend to you. And get your money, from you. But if somebody is going to say he will give you 300%, then where is he making his money himself? Okay, those are Ponzi schemes. These are the people, by the way, I encountered this situation also at the college, at Chainama College, when I was doing 2 weeks there. The student, one of the students was saying, there was the scheme run by one of their students there, where he was getting a lot of money, and then they are saying, no, he was paying huge interest. When he got enough, he switched off his phone and disappeared. They don't know where he is, and the money has gone with that person for most of the students. Okay? So what I'm saying, look out for Ponzi scheme. What quick money, the incessant appetite for quick money sometimes can be a death sword to you. So you have to be very careful to run away from that. Okay? I think I've talked about it. Let me go to the next one. Point number 7. Point number 7. I have 40 minutes. I'm still going. Point number 7. Avoid egoistic spending. We're talking about avoiding a debt trap, right? Preemptive measures. What is egoistic spending? You want to keep appearances, right? You look because this one is driving, I also want to what? To drive at all cost. But the question is, can you afford the cost that come with driving? This is why I say you ask yourself honest question and give yourself what? Honest answer. There's no one who will give you an answer. The answer is with you. You do not owe anyone to prove yourself. You know what? In life, you don't have to prove yourself to anyone. Just do the right thing. Do what is right, and then if society is going to view you in a different, personally, okay, let me speak for myself. I really do not care how people view me. Basically, just doing the right thing, which I think is right for myself and my family. If it's tough for other people, tough. But just do the right thing. If others say, but you're not man enough because of what you're doing, it's okay. That is within what I can do, and is fitting within my investment profile. That's what you do. But egoistic spending is a killer. People get loans just to go and buy a car to please somebody. Number 7, critically evaluate available credit options. Number 7, critically done what? Evaluate available credit options. I'll tell you for free that contrary to what most people think, the banks actually, they give the best rates when it comes to lending out money. The most affordable one, contrary to what you think. If you go out there, most of the interest you get, we've talked about Kaloba already, okay? What we're saying, evaluate, even among the banks, pitch them against each other. Look at what this one will give and what this one will give. Be able to get, the point is, get the most best deal available at that particular time. Just because this brother has gotten a loan from Bank B and you also rush to what? To Bank B. No, you need to be able to get the best possible option. And the options, by the way, are different. It's not just, I'm not just talking about the loan here. I'm talking about issues of credit cards also. Okay? Credit card essentially is a loan that is not been formalized but given to you by the bank. They just tell you, okay, you have your credit up to this amount you can use. So each time you swipe. I'm not going to the interest rate charge on credit cards because I might be in conflict. But the thing is this. If you are able to avoid taking certain products that will put a burden on you, the best for you. And please feel free to ask. The next one, number 8. It says, identify your passion and play to your strength. Okay? My strength and Brother Wamurange's strength are different. It's much easier for me if I play to my strength. Okay? Trying to mimic somebody's life, it does not help anyone. You can get best practice, learn best practice from other people, but if it does not come naturally to you, or if it becomes very difficult for you, I think walking away, a coward walk out of it is not a bad idea sometimes. It's like, you know what, this thing, I think, agriculture and meat can't work. But now everyone thinks they can be a farmer. Ask Brother Covenant, who is an animal scientist, who will tell you the challenges that are there. But you, like me, who has no idea what it means to run a farm, you just say, because if Brother Covenant is doing it, I also what? Do it. I'm not playing to my strength. So I'll be able to lose out, okay? Then the number 9, this one is a bit controversial, but it's worth talking about it. Explore syndication, employ a syndication approach. Syndication is basically 2 or 3 people joining hands together, right? I want to talk at it from a family perspective, since this is a family gathering. Wives and husbands. What makes it difficult for you to run joint investments? I know this is a very fun topic. I have my opinions, you have your own opinions. So I can give you my opinion. My opinion is this. If you go it solo, alone, whether you're a husband or wife, chances are that you're going to succeed. You have heard, right? If you go alone, chances are that you're going to do what? To succeed. If you go together with your husband, you will succeed even more. You have seen my bias there. I'm not saying if you're doing it alone, you will not succeed. But what I'm saying is the level of success usually is better if 2 hands are put together. So this issue of having competition, even within the domestic home, is neither here nor there. I know I've spoken to men who give the reasons that once Okay, let's start with women. I know with women who have said, once my husband is aware that this is the money that is there, I'll be putting P&L to Zambia breweries, and maybe another woman is going to be happy. I've heard women give that. So I would rather do what? Myself alone. On the flip side, since they're excited, I've also heard men who says, once my wife knows that this money is there, she will not what? Rest until it is finished. Okay? So, look, at the end of the day, I think every family needs to find a common ground. My experience is that, and it's your experience, this one also, you can look around. Most of the successful couple that you see, people that are successful, are those that work together, husband and wife. So syndication is very important. Yes, at Kokolepo. Those who work together, they have much chances of success than those that work in silos. In any case, that's your husband. That is your wife. You chose on your own. So why should it be very difficult for the two of you to sit down? My pastor, it shouldn't be very difficult, really. You are supposed to find there. If you have a problem, Pastor Hamsokwe and Pastor Hayten, where is my brother? Pastor Hayten. Okay, he's not here. Oh, he's there. Yeah, go to Pastor Hayten. He will counsel you nicely on how the two of you can work together, okay? I'm on point number 10. Point number 10 is say, pursue biblically sound investments. Somehow we've talked about this one already, okay? If your conscience is not clear, if you think peradventure the investment that you are doing is putting you in firing line with God, my appeal to you is that don't do that even if it's giving you what? A lot of money. Now, this one is applicable to us believers. For people out there who may not be believers, this point is you can just discard it and cancel it. But for us believers, we know the most lucrative retail business is selling alcohol. When you see a lot of vehicles that are parked around, just know that there is beer that is being sold there. A lot of vehicles will be there. None of the vehicles will have a screen scratched or a mirror stolen. But when you park at church there, we'll find the mirror is missing. So that was on the light note. So some of the most lucrative business are the ones that are not sound to us. We should avoid going into those businesses. Okay. Number 11. This one is my interest. Proverbs chapter 11, verse 28. Verse 25. It's a memory verse, most of us. Just somebody to paraphrase Proverbs 11:25. Just paraphrase it. What does it say? The one who waters does what? He also gets watered, right? Now, the point I'm putting there is give generously towards the cause of God. If you're doing businesses and you're not supporting the cause of God, and then this point is for us, not for the people who are unbelievers. If you're not giving generous towards the cause of God, chances are that you will succeed, but if you're giving towards the cause of God, you succeed even more. You see? So I'm not saying if you're not giving towards the cause of God, you'll not succeed, because you're going to come to me and say, but I've seen somebody who does not return tithe and they're successful. That's not my point. You'll be successful, but you may not be more successful than where you would have been. I think that was point number 11 on how to avoid a debt trap, and that was the last point. Okay? Now, let's go to, I have 30 minutes, my order. So now let's go to the second part. I've removed the slides which talks about the biblical side of it, the spirit of prophecy. I'll leave that to my able pastors to handle. But I have the slides I can share. People can read. I just want to look at the practice. Now let's look at somebody who is already in a death situation. How can you help them escape? Not maintain. The prophet is saying, how can you help them maintain? No. There's no maintaining here. We're saying of escaping. How can we get them out of what? That pool. Truth be told, brethren, here. Oh, by the way, I didn't mention one thing. I was trying to avoid the women folk who looking at me in a bad light. But among the investment options that I personally don't recommend is village banking. Now, I make so many enemies when I talk about that one. I should talk, I should speak. Now, this is my opinion. You can have your opinion, but this is my opinion. As I said, See, for an investment to be sound, one, it has to be well regulated. Okay? You need to ensure that the credit assessment of a person that accessing any financial facility has to be rightly assessed. Even in the bank, don't just walk in the bank and say, I want to be given a loan. We ask you a lot of questions. You need to tick a lot of boxes, right? But when you look at by the way, the thinking behind it is not that bad. The thinking behind it is good, okay? But the application is where I have an issue. Because the application is that it has no proper credit scoring there. Everyone can go there. You just need one rotten egg to wipe out the whole entire scheme, okay? So that was a strong term. You just need one who is a bit unwise or indisciplined to wipe out the screen. It will be wiped out. Maybe I shouldn't have spoken about that because I can see I'm making enemies already around here. But you see, the point is this. The point is this, beloved. The point is this. Despite the issue that there is no proper credit scoring, there's also an issue that you might actually not be able to get your interest. Because remember, when people get money from you, they have to invest it somewhere. The money they make is what they pay you. Now, you, from looking at the arrangement of village banking, you are saying the members will borrow, the same one that has given, and then they will borrow. Now, you have a situation where one will just do an arbitrage on the system. It just belongs to more than one of those schemes, and just arbitraging them, okay? So then when they create that arbitrage among them, chances are that they'll get big amounts, and most of them actually is well thought out. It's criminality, actually. It's well thought out. The moment they grab everything, they disappear, they switch off their phones, and everyone else is waiting for you call it share out. Everyone is waiting for the share out that never comes. Okay? So, that one, okay, it was on the lighter note. Let's leave that one. But for me, it's one of them, those that I don't really encourage. Now, let's look at how do you escape the debt trap. Paul gives us counsel. Maybe this one we can read it. 2 Corinthians chapter 9. 2 Corinthians chapter 9. From verse 11 going downwards. Maybe somebody, even here in front, can use a mic, you can read that one. How to avoid a death trap. I mean, a debt trap. Or escaping. No, this is avoid now. We are escaping a debt trap. Or let me call it a debt web. Because it's like a spider web, right? And you have been caught out there. You cannot go in front or behind. So 2 Corinthians chapter 9, verse 11. Somebody read it for us.
Verse 11, while you are enriched in everything for all liberality, which causes thanksgiving through us to God. 12, for administration of this service. Sorry.
Are you reading the right one, my own?
2 Corinthians.
Chapter 7, verse 9 to 11.
Chapter 7.
Chapter 7, verse 9 to 11, sorry.
Now, I rejoice not that you were made sorry, but that your sorrow led to repentance. For you were made sorry in a godly manner, that you might suffer loss from us in nothing. Verse 10, for godly sorrow produces repentance, leading to salvation, not to be regretted, but the sorrow of the world produces death. Verse 11, for observe this very...
Okay, so the first step for you to come out of a debt trap, you need to understand and realize that you have what? A problem. If you don't realize that you have a problem, you will not come out of that debt trap. He says godly sorrow leads to what? To repentance. You know, you see, I always give an example. If something strikes you that you're doing something wrong, your question is, are you feeling bad because you have been caught, or you're feeling bad because you have realized that what you're doing is wrong? One is godly sorrow. The other one is not godly sorrow. The other one is defiant sorrow. He said, if only I had escaped a minute before, they would not have caught me. If only I had encrypted my phone very good, she would not have caught this message. Okay? That's not godly sorrow. So it's the same principle we can use when it comes to what? To managing debt. If you realize, said, no, you know what? I need to come out of this situation. I'm in a mess, in short. Okay? So the point is avoid defiance. Don't be very defiant. Okay? And if there's somebody who comes to help you out of that, be quick to accept the fact that this person can take me out. That was point. Point number 2. There are just 5 points, this one. Because I want to finish so that I give the last 20 minutes to questions. The point number 2 on getting out of that debt trap says, resist compounding the situation. Resist what? Compounding the situation. Compounding the situation is where you say, okay, Bakove, okay, this one I've exhausted here. If I go to him, he won't give me again. Okay, the next target is this Sister Chelo. Sister Chelo, give me some money. I will not disclose that I have this side. I get from Sister Chelo, I think, you know what? Let me get somebody else also. Because what I owe Kove is too big. What Sister Chelo gave me won't be enough. Let me also get from Brother Olivet. Okay? Yeah, what you are doing, you are in denial, but you are just what? Compounding the situation. You are making it worse than not be. Seal it where it is. In short, this can be written. So don't just contract any more debt when you're already in debt. Okay? There's only one condition where you can contract more debt when you're in debt, and I'll coming to it. This will be my point number 4. But now I was on point number 2, where I'm saying resist compounding the situation. As much as you can do, again, you ask yourself honest questions, and you give yourself what? Honest answers. The one that has answers is yourself. If there's no realization at a personal level, then we have a problem. It doesn't matter how other people want to help you out, come with your situation. If you yourself do not realize that you need help, then we have a problem. Okay? The third one is that seek professional help from what? Confident friends. Now, one of the things that the debt web creates, especially for the unmarried, is the reputational issues. Because people talk in the background. Ukamba now, because you see, everyone will be like, aware this is what you are doing. It creates a little bit of some uncomfortability, and this is why you see people will probably stop coming to church, or maybe they will switch to another church. And you see, the problem again is it creates a bit of some friction between the lender and the borrower. Friction in courts, right? Because even a normal greeting when extending, it's like you are saying, but inga kajakantu. You see those things. So it creates a bit of a friction. And also, from the one who borrows, you just feel like, you know what, you want to avoid, you don't make eye contact and those things. So what I'm saying, seek professional help from trusted. The underlining word there is what? Trusted confidence. Look out for people who you think would have your interest at what? At heart. Somebody whom you can trust, but you know what, my brother? Me, I've done what? I've messed up. I'm in this situation. But get me covered. Usually people that take that approach, they get helped. And whatever you discuss ends with what? With just the 2 or 3 of you, whatever it is. We need more of that in the Adventist church. Yeah, we don't need people to go outside to go and ask somebody who is not even a believer. We need to come to somebody and say, look, when I talk to this person, they have got me covered. Okay? You need to get that professional help. The fourth one is the most practical one, which you need to do. And I've used this one a lot for a lot of people that have been in debt distress. In that, you need to reprofile and consolidate your debt. Your debt. You know, those are synonyms, eh? Death and debt. Now, we rebuke that synonym. We don't want it at the moment. Okay, so you need to reprofile and consolidate your debt. What it needs to do is, I always use this example. It's better to face one big monster than to face a lot of other smaller dragons. Because a lot of smaller dragons, you don't know which part of your body this one is biting and this one is biting. They're biting you from different places. It's better I know that there's just one big one which is biting on this particular place. Then I'll put a guard on that place and try to sort out. What I'm saying here is, if you're in a situation where you owe individuals, you owe microfilms, you owe mainstream banks, what other category of people you can owe? Loan sharks, yes, you own loan sharks. So you own a lot of people. You need to be in a situation where you say, no, you know what? I would rather go and look for one bullet loan. One bullet big loan. Because, okay, the reason why you are thinking like that is because, see, if let's say you are owning 6 people, right? And every person you're owning is demanding a 3,000 from you. It means you are paying out how much? 3 times 6, 18,000 every month. That may be too much for your salary to contend because they're different people. But if you ask yourself, okay, you know what? Let me go to the bank and said, what is the maximum that you can give me? Maximum. And if you're doing a syndicated approach, husband and wife, is even better because it's within the family. What maximum can you give? Then they'll tell you, just for argument's sake, what you're owing is 100,000 to all these people. These 12, is it we say 6 or 12? 6 people. You owe them 100,000. And you owe the bank a 50,000. So you need to think, let me go to the bank. Maybe I'm paying the bank 3,000 also for that 3,000. So it's part of those 6, right? They said to the bank, what maximum can you give me? And the bank said, now we can give you maximum 150,000. But this would mean your standing order will move from 3,000 to maybe 3,500. Usually it does not move that much because all you're doing, you're just doing a top up and then you're pushing the tenure a little bit. So maybe to move to 4,000. But guess what? It's creating an extra 100,000 for you that is free, which you didn't have before. Quite all right. Yes, quite all right. Your debt will appear as if it has gone up. But guess what? You're going to get that 100,000 and pay off all those other 5 guys. And now we are remaining with what? One minister. Just one minister, whom we are paying every month what? 4,000. 4,000 against the 18,000 you are paying to all these other dragons around. Which one is better? It's a very big relief. It's a reprofiling. You need to, and this is the principle which is used even at national level. Okay? So we'll just say, look, let me take out this. In doing that, what all you are doing is, one, if you are not married, you are taking out the credibility. You're sorting out the credibility issues. Okay? It's not all the girls who said about that one. Don't get married to that one. That one, he borrows from this one, this one. Take out that one. Now we are just facing one person. Okay? This is the person that I'm facing, and it's a bank, and I'm paying. It's giving me breathing space. Okay? You are able to operate. So you need to do this, you need to seek professional help for people that are able to reprofile your debt and help you. That was point number 4. Point number 5, which is the last one on my slide. We go into question and answer. Now this one, it simply says disposal of toxic assets and liabilities. In brackets, liabilities. Dispose them off. So this is very difficult because we most of the time, if you, let's say you have borrowed an unwise borrowing to go and buy a car which was not a necessity because there's a bus stop near your house. So you did that borrowing. And then you realize that the debt is so unsustainable, I cannot do it. The most easy thing is for you to dispose of that asset. But here is where the problem is. Most of the time we create sentimental attachment. You know sentimental attachment, eh? The good thing is men rarely have sentimental attachment. They rarely have sentimental. Men rarely have sentimental attachments. Okay? Even if you get it, you can say, I know what, this thing is not working. I'm going to sell it. But the other gender whom we cannot mention, they seem to have a problem with that. Say, but why did you buy it in the first place? If you buy it just to come and what? And sell it again. Me, I still need what? This. But you have a debt here. There you remove sentiment and emotion. You need to be, there's one person I was trying to help out come off debt trap, and they said, look, I can see what you have here is a lot, what you owe people. Show me the assets that were created out of all these debts. There were no assets. There were no assets. Okay. But if you're in a situation where the assets are there, of course, they'll be depreciated. So if it was iPhone Pro Max Plus, which you bought at 40,000, you want to go to the secondary market, somebody will offer you 15,000. Take it and run. Take the 15,000 and run. That's what you call cutting your losses. You have to be mindful that you can cut your losses, because it does not help you to continue living in the first point. Remember, living in denial, where you are refusing to accept the real situation. So you need to dispose of that asset and try to. There are a few people that that this has worked for them actually, and they actually came out of debt. But a lot of that, us, we don't. Now, let me end here. So I've just talked about these two slides. I've not talked about the biblical side of it, the spirit of prophecy, that is for Pastor Hamsokwe and Pastor Hayten, but I have the slides with me. Let me end here so that we can take questions if there are any. Thank you so much for listening.
What do you say again to Elder Mpangos? That was a very good presentation. Some people, they could have even missed heaven if they didn't come to this camping because of debt. But we thank God that what he has overlooked, or what he has actually explained to us this morning, it's a lot, and it will help us avoid debt and manage debt. Okay? That's what I've got. We need to manage debt. Also, we need to avoid debt. Managing debt, we need to make sure that we examine whatever business we're going into. Yeah, we don't just go in any business. Allow me to borrow some guys on the streets, the way they use kukongoro mungulu. No, that's not very good. Okay. We have very few questions. Allow me to restrict only maybe 3-4 questions, because looking at time, we are supposed to go into the main service. I'll just point at the first hands, maybe first 3 or 4 hands. First 3-4 hands. Okay, you can just come forward. Yes, you can hold. Okay.
I've got a question.
Okay, yeah. You can ask. Wallace is asking, we also like to ask our friends who are watching through online, book, YouTube. Please, you are free to send questions. Our engineers will actually give us the questions. You can go ahead.
Yeah, I've got a question, and maybe you'd allow me also a contribution of clarity. Yeah, the question is for the coupons that you mentioned on government bonds. You said you will be able to receive those coupons in 6-month segments or even in monthly segments. And they're at 14% interest, isn't it? And you gave an example of the 15 and 10 years. So is the 14% coupon rate constant, given that you have that period of 15 years? Can it be affected by inflation or maybe the exchange rate? Is it constant until your 15 years is done? Then the contribution of clarity is that with government bonds, for those that may be considering the example he gave, the best advice I can give you is that for those that are already young, is that the earlier the better. Even a 1,000 kwacha, you can buy government bonds. Maybe you're thinking the 1 million he gave is the only example you can think about. Even a 500 kwacha government bond, you can begin with that. The earlier, the better. And to those who think they are already old enough to start buying bonds because 15 years is too much, maybe I'm already closing my death, it's never too late again. You can still buy your bonds, even when you think you've got 1 year left. The most important thing is that you must be very aggressive on that if you think you are late. Put more money in it. That's the aggressive part. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So direct answer to your next question, is the coupon rate and the yield rate affected by inflation? No, it's fixed. So if I buy a 10-year, 11-year or a 15-year bond at 27.75 now, even if the market rates dropped to 10% or even if they go up above that, I will still be yielding at that 27 points. So it's a fixed thing. It's the same thing with the coupon. The coupon is fixed. For the whole entire lifespan of that security, you'll be getting the same. Now, is 14% the same for all papers? No. So each maturity will have its own interest. So 14% is for the 15 years. I think the 10 years at 13% coupon. So the shorter the tenor, the lower the coupon would be. So the highest coupon will be on the ones on the long end. I can give you the latest on all of them, but whatever you get is going to be fixed. And you're right, if you're old, in fact, for those who are old are the ones who should get because they have a cash flow issue. So they want to replicate their salary in their old age. So those are the ones who should actually buy more than even the youths.
Mulishani mkwai mwe bana bakwalesa na litotela nintotela sana indine sansa tose na tukwate sansa pakwisa tufisha kuno lesa letu pala chaina machechi awe lesa le pala mwandini vale bomba nomba shufwe chisungu ine lelo masa andondolwela kotumo ntile fena alondolola alo kutashalesa kusuma pamilimo mula bomba si bomba ine lesa ale mutuma si bomba ine nomba ichisungu mulelanda ko mwavika ko akukulondolwela so tuabwelela kunkhongole ale nkhongole sho vale kitakwati valeva iwe vale tueva lisukulu namu tusambilila kansi tatulalanga na ukwate nkhongole tatulalanga waisa lipila kole saisa kupela alotu lo kulala nangu mulifya kulya munganda kulala sana kaita ukuta fyose na fikumanina fingile satu chitila mwe bana bakwalesa lesa ale mupala chaina machechi na babene ala pali bolu itopa chaina mamwadini pali be ichikuku mwila penda mwinenuka lesa ale mupala elo tuwaisa nomba pakutira shani mawa mwila seka fimpi filepita pakutira ti bachisa ndondolwelako ati bamukukulu na bafula kwali umwaka umbi aisa ingira na mungande umwaume wamuletele ni folena amuleta chao na ufuile kuli bamayo bana simunyola ati umwana alefwa enchito tabomba so mwana wandi ifyupo fyalipwa na abalume abana 7 tuli nabo muli namuishiva mukombwe tasosya tachitasyani tapakatila ichupo futi ngachiapwa abana ebachiulilamo abana bali konkanila ngana batamfya kabiyeni kuli wiso kwi taba yako bawisibwalwa bweka balatamfya nomba twali kala nabo so yo muntu folena amuleta timayo bana mpundu eko bali nati eko bali nomba bayo kukusaidi uko ebere awe inewe ninsanga ko mulumendo ati mana mpundu bampeleko balafwa enchito nomba oyu anamuleta naikala na munganda namupokelela nomba alelo lesi efya isilati awe mwalampela fyeka 500 ka 500 twamupela kalipo ifyoka aendele ebele awe tusende omwana unga umo wakuti esibepo banyina bakula bombela awe balefika pa mwale palya na mini basi yamoneka lulululu bafika pa wenwa pakalingalinga yafika baseluka awe ba mwambapo mwamba ikalapo apa kachite photocopy walasanga pano penye awo efyo basile palya ba mwamba nomba enda okufika ngapa evele mukasiana siya chifoni ichi chikulu mule chonga chishiye so mwamba mukupwalala kwakwe nawe ati kachite photocopy apo efyo mwana aendele ukuyafika kulya alebwela ati walabwela nomba lini asanga foni nomulumende su naya aisilalelila kung'ana mwaona alila nati wisakamana so yo fole noyo wamuletele aisilelile filamba ati kwene chavipa ndendepe pafye kulile nomba kutaunila ngamu mwena kuisa aya pa bus stop tamusangile aya kuisa nati po iwe wenoyo efyo twachitile shani efyo natifo tubutukila kulilesa ati mwamba fya amoneke bantu balatilati nimwebo mulesitishie myewo ya bantu efyo mwamba amoneka okufuma kwa kalingalinga lesa fye namolu afika efyo twachitile shani twapepa abwela foleni evele mayo amapepo yenu mwamba amoneka alefika fye amupela na dilinki na chisikono aleli ata amoneka nalinindila nati umwana wave noluse lwalile nkwale nalafuila muzambia muno nomba kumaka yako alesa aisile mulondo lwela alafingilesa atuchitila mwe bantu tulebutukila fye kulilesa nalisyala na bana banga uyu umbi undela ndechupo chalipwa uyu alabomba pachayinama nomba tasa kama nokutila bamayo baliensi nangu balefola fye bwaungwa fye ati balefola nomba mwe bana bakwalesa tamwandekelesya ifitenge ndefuala ala usitasya mwana wa wandos.
Okay, thank you so much. She has raised one issue, which I should have also talked about it in the slides. I don't know how it skipped my mind. The issue of scammers. So I think we probably need to have a session on financial literacy when we get back to church, because I think that's one area where in the modern digital world, I think a lot of people have been duped of their good earning from scammers. We can pick it up from there. I think let's end it here. Thank you so much for being a good audience. I was looking forward to finishing this
Elder,
spoken.
from the technical team, we have a question online.
Okay, go ahead.
I have a question. I'm a student doing a 4-year program. Have been saving money to start business. When I'm done with school...
Sorry, come again. I was distracted. I didn't hear where you started from.
I'm a 4-year student. I have been saving money to start business. When I'm done with school, so far I have saved up to 10,000. Please, how and where can I invest this amount so that I can have it expanded at the end of my academic year? I am in 3rd year, remaining with 1 year. Please help me.
Thank you. That's a personalized question, right? So it needs a personalized answer. I think you can link the person to me so that we can speak, because we do not just give you an option before. We're also interested to find out what your interests are. Because we need, I talked about the date profiling, right? Where you need to profile yourself. What's your appetite for risk and do those things. So I need to get those details before. I cannot give an off-the-cuff statement to a question like that one. So we can speak to them. Is there another online question, or we can stand for prayer so that we can end this session? I need to go and remove my suit as quickly as possible.
Thank you, Elder. That was our only question.
One more question? Yes. Oh, Savior, now the hand, we didn't see it. I'm told main service, the holy hour, 11 hours is for main service, not for lessons. Can we tackle your question outside the forum? You can come and see me. Brother Simirimo won't help, won't forgive us. Let's read the last one there, then we stand and pray after that. There's nothing. Okay, shall we stand and pray? We are praying, gracious Lord in heaven, we are so thankful this morning for this opportunity that you gave us to discuss matters that will help us even here on earth as we wait for the heavenly kingdom. We realize, dear Lord, that we may have made certain decisions in our lives that may not have gone well as to our expectations, but we are but human, and we come before you, dear Lord, that you might help us even to take us out of this hole that we have created for ourselves. Father, we pray that even for those of us that may not be in a situation of debt, that you may give us a clear path in our minds, that whatever we access, we may be used diligently, not only for our own favor, but also to enhance the kingdom of God. As we transition now into the main service, we pray that you may be with us and bless the preacher that will come and give us the message. This we ask and pray in Jesus' name. Amen.